Hey gang, I'm going to want a nice warm brown, orange brown for this little sketch. I'm mixing up a batch of that right now just before I get started. What? I've already started? Indeed, I have. Hello, thank you for joining me again today. My name's Dan. This is the front of my head. That's the back. I'm one of the few males you know who's bald and back and is keenly aware of that fact. All right, Daily Art Adventure number, hang on, Daily Art Adventure number 776, right? Yeah. Color sketch in Gouache. 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 It is officially gouache, as Uncle 60 says. Leonardo stepped on a tube of paint. That was the sound it made. that was our the intelligence level of our. I'm not blaming him. It goes with the channel, with the community. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and move you guys to a better vantage point. So hang on a second. I'm going to blind you for just a moment. Get you on a. There we go, a little better vantage point. And here's the color sketch. Not, ignore my words. There's my black and white sketch that I just finished an hour and a half ago or something like that. Let me let you get in even closer. And the last thing I did, just here a few minutes ago, I picked up one of these, the counterpart to the Jumbo Jet Black, it's Jumbo Jet White, and did a little bit of scratching in white, and I kind of like it. Anyway, so that's my, you could call it a no-tan, you could call it a value sketch. I think it's more like a value sketch than a no-tan myself. And here is the, I don't know how well you can see that. All right, passably well, I guess. Hang on. Here's, I'll show you the landscape. There's a nice reflection of my window. All right, so that's what I'm supposed to paint. I'm supposed to get that in a portrait ratio. So a lot of those issues I think are satisfactorily worked out in the value sketch. So a lot of the work is done, and that leaves free then to do, I guess I'll do a quick sketch again on this one. Basically just copying what I've already done here. I'm not used to copying my own drawings this carefully. All right, so that's a quick, very quick rough sketch where the major elements are going. Oh, and I forgot to put Buddy's dog in Buddy's dog. That's how that came out. Hey Buddy, by the way, if you are watching by any chance, please give me a shout. Say, let me know you're here. Yep. Hey, David, second round, go around in one day. Hey, Mark, good to have you on board. So, yeah, here is Buddy's golden retriever, and I want to put him or her right about here, I think. Just a minute, something's wrong with my music here in the background. There you go. Nice golden retriever. We had a golden retriever. It was our dog of choice when our kids were young. So we enjoyed our dog days, and now our dog days are over, and we're glad for that. We're glad for that. We did our time. We took care of our dog. Our dog took care of us. Now my wife and I want to walk away from the house and not have to worry about feeding the pet. When we got a golden retriever, this is 25 years ago, I couldn't tell the difference between a good dog and a bad dog, a show dog and a not show dog. But little by little over the years, we figured things out, and figured out that, oh, you mean our dog's not like a show dog? No. She was, we could have gotten her, what is it, AKC certified, but we didn't, and no need. She was just a family dog, but was a plenty fine, pretty dog, but nope. Then you find out, oh, that's what Goldens are. That's what Goldens are supposed to look like. And nothing personal here, buddy, but your your Golden's kind of like ours. A little bit rangy here, a little bit long-legged. Ooh, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It's way too close. So, boy, after all that fussing, I'm going to do it again. Let's try it. I want it further away. Okay, that's better. That's more like it. All right, let's get to painting now. So back to the color image. I'm going to start right in the hot spot, if you will. Whoa, that was supposed to be clean yellow, and it is not. So I'm not sure how well that's going to go. It'll do for starters. I have hot tea over here. It's a nice Thanksgiving-ish kind of day here. During the break there, my wife, I'm going to lose the respect of half of you there. Not that I've ever had any, but my wife was outside. Well, she was blowing leaves with a big backpack leaf blower. And when she finished that, she strapped, no, that was strap on. And then she got out, and I have to start some of these things for her, but then she got out our power washer and is cleaning up all over the place. My goodness. Where do you find a wife like that? I want to know. Well, I got one. A couple Christmases ago, my kids and I were downstairs laughing in the kitchen a few minutes ago. I have a couple groups of guys that I meet with on a regular weekly basis, and I shared with my my Saturday morning guys at a coffee shop a couple years ago about Christmas time. I shared with them that I was buying my wife a leaf blower. Or was it the power washer? I honestly can't remember which one it was. Yes, yeah, they gave me heck. they were aghast that any friend of theirs would have the nerve to buy their wife a leaf blower for Christmas. What they didn't know was that was really what she wanted. I wasn't kidding. She wasn't kidding. I wasn't kidding. That was really what she wanted. Not one of these little wimpy leaf blowers you hold in your hand. No siree. This is one of the movers and shaker straps to your back like an astronaut. And she was plenty happy. No, having just halfway defended myself, I will not, let's claim that I'm the most romantically inclined gift giver. Well, the good news is my wife is, neither of us, are you familiar with the 5 love languages, anybody? That's a really helpful book if you've never read it, the 5 love languages. And because we're not all the same. And almost always the person you're married to is not the same as you. Anyway, thankfully, neither my wife nor I is our gift giving is one of the love languages, according to the thesis of this book. And thankfully, neither my wife nor I is that the case. So we like getting gifts just fine. But it's not the primary I love you message. I'll tell you what it is just for fun since I'm on the subject. So the 5 love languages, I'll give them to you first of all. Hello, let me see who's watching. Uncle 60, good, glad you got a nap. I watched my Detroit Lions lose to the, I already forgot, Cincinnati? No. Anyway, they lost 24 to 20. Darn. They're one of my teams because I grew up in Michigan, that's all. I have several teams scattered around the country. But I was a Michigan boy, so. Oh, wait, who else is watching? Tricks Asymmetrics. I love the name. Thank you for joining us today. Uncle 60. I got his wife Potts. She didn't talk to you for 2 weeks. I don't quite believe that, but it makes a great story. Thanks. No, believe me, I can understand. All right, so I started the 5 love languages, right? For those of you who have not read the book or heard of the book, I'll see if I can remember them all. They are words of affirmation, gift giving, quality time, acts of service, and blank. Oh, words of affirmation. Did I say that? All right, let's start there. Words of affirmation, gifts, quality time, acts of service, and I'm missing one again. Anyway, so my love language, and the idea is you're kind of born this way. You don't have any, and there's no judgment. It's not like some are good and some are bad. No, it's just the way you are. And most people, they are hardwired. They're not going to change their whole life. This is how does a person hear the message or receive the message, not in their ears, but in their heart. How do they receive the message, I am loved? And for me, it's words of affirmation. Attaboys is in a sense what I live for, so to speak, on this metrics. And my wife, on the other hand, is primarily quality time. So for our entire marriage, we've been aware of this book for our entire marriage. I've complained that it's not fair that mine is words of affirmation and hers is quality time, because she can discharge her love duties, so to speak, in about 4 seconds. Wow, sweetie, that's really great. And I'm basking in the glow of, Yippee, I am loved. She, on the other hand, requires quality time. Emphasis on the word time. Gazing in the eyes, holding her hand maybe, sitting in close proximity, and sharing deeply from the heart. So whereas she can discharge her loving duties in 4 seconds, it takes me 45 minutes in comparison. So life is not fair, folks. Often, life is just not fair. But we're 40 years happily married, so I really can't complain too awful much, as people say. Some people say. Can't complain at all. So the thesis behind the book is, see, so many, and it comes in handy a lot of times. And my wife and I, my wife in particular, she does quite a bit of counseling of all kinds. Emotional health and so on. And so in the course of that, of course, she does a fair amount of talking to people who are married, happily or otherwise, and helps walk them through some of this stuff. And often one spouse whose, say, love language is gift giving, they will inundate their partner with gifts. I mean, little, just bringing home a donut from the, it's not big gifts necessarily, just the act, just the idea, just the thought of giving. That's how most of the gift people are. It's not the size of the gift, it's just that you thought of it. But if his, I'd say if that's the guy, the man, and he brings flowers and he brings whatever, anything whatsoever. But if her love language is quality time, and he doesn't know that, well, she gets depressed and pouty and moody and discouraged, and to fix it, he brings her another gift. Now see, neither one of them understand the love languages, so she doesn't realize why that doesn't ring her bell, and he doesn't realize why that does, because that rings his bell. So she never gives him a gift because she never dream of it. So we tend to give each other according to how we are wired, understandably. We want to express love to our significant other, and we express it to them the way we would like to receive it ourselves. So as you can imagine, it's often a case of ships passing in the night. And so a big part of this, of counseling, can be to help make couples aware of this dynamic. And my wife and I know each other very well, and lots of fun, lots of laughter at each other's expense. Not really expense. All right, I'm going to switch to a nicer brush here for a minute. I keep almost dipping my brush in my hot tea. Forgive me, I'm going to drink some before I dip paint in it. Whoops, now I'm almost off camera. All right, hang on. Quality time till you get in an argument. That can happen. Being happily married is a tricky business, isn't it? Anybody who tells you otherwise is selling something. Tickets to their marriage seminar, maybe. I'm not going to count trees. You know what I mean? I'm not going to look at the photograph and try to draw a tree for tree. There's just a few trees in here that are like that one, that one, that one, that one. And then maybe next is these two right here. And after that, it doesn't matter. It's just a forest. How about that? A veritable forest of trees, shall we say. Yeah, I almost dipped my brush in my tea again. I really hope I don't do that. I would, by no means do I consider myself an expert on gouache. But I'm rather glad. I mean, who would want to be the gouache expert of the world? Gouache champion of the world. Not to be confused with squash champion, which is some kind of game, but I forget right now what game it is. Kind of like racquetball, isn't it? A handball or something. And as you, whoops, let's get rid of that noise, shall we? There we go. Now, the danger now, of course, is that my phone battery will die before we finish this broadcast. Then I would disappear completely, suddenly, for a while till I scramble around and get us plugged in again. Anyway, maybe that won't happen. Got some cool Christmas jazz playing in my ear. Here behind me. Yeah, it should turn up. Oh, cool Christmas drums. Cool Christmas drum solo. Do, 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 do. Yes, I have permission to play this for you. Isn't that sweet? I pay for the right. As you can see, I'm probably here. I'm painting in a fairly messy manner. I'd say painting like a real painter, so to speak. Real, the kind of real that I rant about when I'm doing oil painting. Except that I've got a control freak grip, as you can see. Deep in the depths of control freak painting. Let's add a little bit of red to that. And a little bit of yellow to that. I might need to go and get a tube of yellow here in a little while. The yellow that's here on my, did I show you my messy palette? This is my gouache palette. Has been for several years. Whenever I need a touch of gouache in my life, this is where I go. That was exciting, wasn't it? I mentioned in my last broadcast this morning or early this afternoon, whatever it was, it's a good idea to think of tree trunks as being gray. Let that be your default setting, and then make corrections, of course, according to your observation, whatever you're looking at. You know, saying, "Oh, wait a minute, this tree trunk's actually not gray. It's actually blank." And I said, generally speaking, you'll be in a better starting place if you're thinking gray rather than thinking brown, which is sort of the traditional grade school, you know, concept. And then I looked at this tree trunk just a moment ago, and I was about to add an orange highlight to it, and then I looked at the photograph. Here, let me see if I can blow this way up. All right, here, for instance, there's a tree trunk. Can you see it without too much glare? And I asked you, my friends, what color it is. That is gray, gray, gray. And this is a pretty nice photograph. Here, let's look at one of the others. Oh, now in that one, it's brown. But this is much, much more. So I am actually going to, why did I do it brown? Well, I actually didn't. I was just trying to get dark, and it dried much browner than I wanted it to. I wanted it to be dark, so. Now that's weird music. We'll just turn that down. I listened to this Epidemic Sound, you know, website, and they have 30,000 songs, I think, and little by little, you create your own playlist. So I have several hundred songs now on my playlist in different categories. One of the categories is Christmas. That's what's playing now. So they don't just, it's not like, what's the word, Pandora, where they just play whatever they want. All the songs that you hear are songs that I have selected from their playlist. So if there's one I don't like, it's my own fault. and I don't care much for this one, so what was I thinking? After nearly every wedding that I do, nearly every wedding, I get nice little friendly emails from YouTube saying there was a copyright claim made on, you know, Daily Art Adventure number 770, whatever, and that's just the way it goes. That means basically that I can't get paid, so to speak, for those. I can't get any, you know, Google ad credit for those ones, and usually I just don't worry about that too much. It's not like I'm getting tons of money from any of it anyway. I get about $100 a month, I guess, now from all of my YouTube activity. It's better than it used to be. It used to be none. But I can't quit my day job yet. Wait a minute. This is my day job. Okay, never mind. This is my day job. But I'm not going to quit it. Okay, let's just zoom into this, the hot spot of this painting now just for a minute. There's some, I need a little more yellow gold color in there. Over here, there we go. I sounded like Bob Ross for a second there, didn't I? Little friendly sky hole. He didn't have a southern accent. That's very non-Bob Ross, but it just came out. I am glad that, so I'm doing this, I mentioned this earlier this morning, this is a commission. What I'm doing here are sketches. Well, I did the first one, black and white, and it's a commission for my good friend William, aka Buddy, and he hasn't said anything. I sent him a text or a text a while ago. Is the static gone now? You are correct, Horatio. I mean, who listens for is a computer. It's all machine learning. In fact, one time several years ago now, I thought, well, maybe I can get away. Every once in a while, I try to get away with it. I used to. And I'm a I guess a classical music fan, maybe is a fair way to put it. Not an aficionado. If excuse me, I have to stand up and get a tube of yellow gouache. So forgive me walking over here to my gouache drawer. we just love saying that word, don't we? Okay, so good. And I have some gouache here. I mean, I have some yellow here, and it's not hard as a rock, so that's always nice when that happens. Whoops, I'm getting... By the way, so after I finished this, I sprayed it with... I'm going to get it out of the way because I keep dripping on it. I sprayed it with matte finish. Let's get this out of harm's way for a moment. And here I have a problem. I'm going to solve it this way. I'm just going to, because there's some deep down underneath here. There's some pure yellow gouache. It's just got all kinds of contaminants on top of it, mostly green. So I'm just going to give it a little scrubbing, gentle scrubbing with a fan brush. By the way, for what it's worth, this is my collection of, at least one of my collections of really cheap brushes. In my opinion, there's a perfectly good place for cheap stuff. Not everything that you use has to be top dollar. And I do think that sometimes, I bet you think the same thing, there's some people who their ego is wrapped up or tangled up with the equipment, materials, and so on that they buy. And I think in every field of human endeavor. Like a guy could be a terrible golfer, for instance. I have no golf ability or interest at all. But his ego's wrapped up with owning the most expensive clubs. People like that? All right, now let's see. All right, I'm just going to put that right there. This still looks green to me. All right, but at least now I have a pure yellow that I can dip my brush in. Because I want that. Anyway, so I have these cheap brushes oh, this is not a cheap one. It's funny, this is a Winsor Newton Series 7, one of the most expensive brushes you can buy. And, but these blue ones are, you buy a whole, they come in a packet, 20 of them for $15 or $20 or $30, I don't remember what. Time out for another swig of my used to be hot tea, but it's still pretty good. So here's one of the nice things about gouache. You can it's water soluble, so you can use any surface. Like this is left over from my last sketch. You can use any surface whatsoever to mix on, right? Because I'll just wipe it off when I'm all done. So, nice and lazy. That's the way I like it. All right, so I've got a very pale yellow now. And I'll come back on top of this with a lighter yellow, almost white. And maybe after that even a completely white. I don't know. We'll see. At the moment, I'm doing negative painting, that is painting gap spaces between trees, painting skinny trees by painting between them, not painting the trees themselves. And as maybe you've heard me say in my oil painting, you should be careful about anybody that says you should do anything. Let me preface my should statement by saying, beware of anybody who says you ought to do something. Anyway, okay, so here's what I'm going to say. You ought to, when you're painting, in my humble opinion, whenever possible, you should look for opportunities or excuses for painting in the negative. That is to say, painting things not by painting the things, but by painting around them. Sky holes, of course, are the classic example of that. And that's sort of what I'm doing right now, except the holes, the trees are more trunky than is that a word? Stemmy, linear than foliage. Anyway, yeah, you should, whenever possible, look for an excuse, any excuse, to paint in the reverse, to paint in the negative. And the reason for that, and I've gone over this many times, but just in case there's just in case there's somebody out there that says, "Oh, please, Uncle Dan, tell us again." Yeah. Any comments from anybody? No. Okay, good. I ramble on, entertaining no one but myself. Why, Uncle Dan? That's not my normal name. But anyway, why, pray tell, should we try to paint in the negative? I'm going to give you the reason, okay? So it's just not just an empty, bare, naked claim or rule. There's actually a reason. I'll use the very thing I'm painting right now as an example. A quick glance at this painting. Okay, let's zoom back in, see if you guys can see better what's going on. Whoops, then I move you off. Okay, quick glance. Everybody knows this is sky behind trees, right? Everybody knows that the trees in real life are closer to us than the sky is, right? I'm being so stupid here. Please don't lose the obviousness of what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything hard. It's just everybody knows that the sky in this real world scene, the sky is further away than the trees. You with me? All right. Everybody knows that. But when the paint is applied in the reverse of that, that is to say, until a second ago, I was painting sky paint on top of tree paint. So if you had a microscope, you'd say the green was painted first, and then the yellow sky color was painted on top of it, okay? And I contend that at some subconscious level, the viewer's eye can actually detect that. And it's real simple. You can tell that those yellow dots are on top, right? All right. So it's the opposite. It's the reverse of the reality. The reality is, and everybody knows this, the reality is trees are close, sky is far. But the paint is the opposite of that. The trees are far and the sky is close. And why does that matter? Because that little, it's like a visual irony. There you go, that's a good word. It's like a visual irony. Because the logic of reality would say, no. Far things should be painted with far paint, and close things should be painted with close paint. Are you catching me? My drift? I'm being a little bit cute with the language here. Logically speaking, and again, this is This is one of the many differences between an early first half of life painter. The first half of art journey, I don't mean first half of life, first half of our art life, first half of our art journey, we're learning to paint stuff that looks like stuff, okay? And in that half of the journey, you do whatever you need to do to achieve similitude or realism, all right? Whereas in the second half of art journey, and not everybody gets there, and that's all right, but in the second half of art journey, the ideal journey, in my opinion, the light bulb comes on, you slap yourself in the forehead, you go, oh my goodness, now I get it. It's not about painting party pictures of things. It's about painting stuff that is about the paint. And that's a shorthand way of saying it's about the abstract elements of design. You regulars, poor uncle, he's heard this speech 73.5 times, if not more. He keeps coming back. What a glutton. For punishment, that is. So second half of life is about, second half of art journey, I mean, not life. Second half of art journey is about line, shape, color, design, value, texture. And then if I could use emotional words with that, the second half of art journey is about tickling the brain. It's about surprise. It's about intrigue. It's about fascination. It's quite different from first half. Whoops, I need my color, I need my So, in the first half of life, you paint the tree first, and then I'll start over. In the first half of your art journey, you paint the sky, then you paint trees in front of the sky, because that's logical and sensible and makes sense. And that's the way things actually look. But then you discover, oh, wait a minute, but I can elicit, can I use that word? I can elicit a little momentary surprise in the mind of the viewer if I do it the other way around. And here's the bottom line kicker, is that little moment of surprise is experienced by the viewer as aesthetic pleasure. Okay, that's what you and I know. That's what non-artists have no business knowing. We're not trying to paint in such a way that non-artists understand all this stuff. We're just trying to paint in such a way that that they experience the benefit of our knowledge without them having any idea how we are manipulating them, so to speak. All right, so that was one long repeat. I've given that speech so many times, but there you go. That's why, answering the question, so why? Tell us, Uncle Dan. Why should we, whenever possible, look for opportunities to paint the reverse, if you will, of the logical, the inverse of the logical, the expected, and that's the answer, because the illogical, if I can use that crazy term, creates aesthetic pleasure. Now, I like my, I'm not done up there, but maybe I should finish it before I go much further, but I feel the need to do some darkness here. I feel the darker side calling. In fact, I think I'm going to do a little bit of Bob Ross painting, just a little bit. Look at the fan brush. Using the texture of the fan brush to create a leafy pattern. That's Bob Ross technique. And everybody, as I say often, everybody, all artists should know how did Bob Ross do, a beautiful painting. Pardon the facetious tone. Now, I like, don't get me wrong, I liked Bob Ross as much as, way better than most people probably. I was completely intrigued, and still am, still enjoy watching him. So I'm not knocking him or his program at all. It was brilliant. But was he a good artist? Oh, no. No, that's not the point. He was not, he was, you know, he was passable. But did he have a good show? Oh, fantastic. You know, would to God I could do so well, so to speak, in entertaining people, but I'm not going to do what some people have done, which is imitate Bob Ross. It is not good painting, ladies and gentlemen. It is. I hate to blow your mind. It is not good painting. It's intriguing, it's fun, it's cute, it's fascinating, but it's not good. But I say to people all the time, but you should, of course, you should. Let me answer. How did he do a beautiful painting in 25 minutes? The answer is brush. The quick two-word answer is brush tricks. And if you're a painter, you should understand Bob Ross's brush tricks. You just shouldn't use them. More correctly, more accurately, you shouldn't overuse them. You shouldn't use them the way he did. You can use them in a very limited fashion. So even what I'm doing here, I would not do on what I'm going to call a legit oil painting. But it's great fun. So just using the bristles of the fan brush to indicate foliage. Okay, somebody says, well, why? Why shouldn't I? Okay, good. Glad you asked that question. Somebody out there in the rerun, somebody will, you know, how many people are watching me right now? 12. Woohoo! Nice even dozen. An average of about 200 people watch each of these videos, which is pretty embarrassing numbers, but hey, who cares? We're having fun. Don't bother me with visions of grandeur. All right. So somebody in the rerun will say, well, why? What? I don't understand. Why shouldn't we do Bob Ross brush tricks? And as I said, I'm so glad you asked, and I'm about to tell you why. The answer is because, hey, Izzy, you okay? Do you need anything?
It's time to eat dinner.
Are you serious?
Yep.
It's supper time?
Yep.
Oh my goodness. Okay, thanks. I'll be down as soon as I can, okay? Start without me, okay, Izzy? Okay, why should you not use Bob Ross if you're able to create and I can't say it with a straight face, so I'm going to say it with this sarcastic tone. If you're able to create a beautiful painting, as sarcastic as I can be, in 25 minutes, why shouldn't you do that? Well, in a word, because it's not a beautiful painting. Because the essence of good painting is making interesting marks. And the essence of interestingness, are you following me? The essence of good painting is making interesting marks. And the essence of interestingness is variety. And it is precisely. So what you just saw me do for the last 5 or 10 minutes, going boink with one brush, boink, doink, 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 that is the antithesis of variety. So Bob Ross brush tricks do not make the grade. When it comes to variety, then, just pure bare naked variety, Bob Ross gets an F, okay? And I love his program and love him and so on and so forth. Nothing against him, but what he did was awesome. But it was not a good painting because it lacked variety. Get it? All right. So I beat that dog to death, didn't I? Speaking of dogs. All right, so I just got the word. I can't believe it. We're having supper a little bit early at our house tonight. And this is not our Thanksgiving dinner. We're going to do that tomorrow. Plans are laid. Company coming tomorrow. I'm doing a trash can turkey. Anybody out there doesn't know what a trash can turkey is, just go to YouTube and look it up. That's what I did. So this is about my 6th one. Every one of them has been fantastic. Freeze up my wife, freeze up the oven, and cooks a 20-pound turkey in 2 hours instead of whatever would take in the oven, 6 hours or something, 7. All right, I'm way far from finished, but I'm creeping and crawling, creepy crawling my way toward finished. And wait, you know what? I'm gonna do a little bit more before I go. Okay, so I just can't stand to leave you guys right at this point. So let's do this. I'm gonna make another pile of white up here on my light table. Add a little bit of yellow to that. Let's see how that looks. That's probably good. And I've got quite a ways to go on this. Is that proper grammar? I have quite a long way to go on this painting. So I'm not sure I'm going to be doing this as fast as James Gurney. This is very close to a James Gurney, except he does them en plein air often. Very close about the size that he does, and he does them in gouache. If you're not familiar with James Gurney, there's a good recommendation for you. You should make yourself familiar with his work. He's very good art. Dinotopia was his claim to fame. His original blockbuster work. Oh, I bet that's my wife. That's my wife calling me, letting me know it's time for supper, I bet. All right, so I'll use that as a signal to go. Thanks, you guys. It's been great fun. Yeah, everybody went to sleep, evidently. Hello, Karen. Thanks for joining us. And I'm just about to leave, so sorry about that. And I'll end the broadcast here because I don't know when I'm going to get back to this. I might broadcast the end of this process, or I might just do the painting on my own. Who knows? We'll find out. But thanks, you guys. Thanks for joining me on this delightful. Hang on, I'm going to move you again. Help! Help! I can't see. Thanks for joining me on this delightful Thanksgiving Day. It's delightful where I am. I hope it's delightful where you are. And I hope you have a lot to be thankful for and a heart to be thankful. Thanks. Bye.